Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you are joining us today, and welcome to the second MEKST webinar. I'm Marina, Maljurić, Program Director of MEKST Conference, and I have that honor to speak with our fantastic panelists today about the hotel industry and how does hotel operate in crisis and what will change in the management of the hotel after the crisis. This is an interactive webinar, so I invite you to ask the questions or simply to write some of your observations or to share your experiences with us. I would like to ask you to specify whether your question is for all panelists or for someone specific. This is the second MEKST panel. We will have it more in the following period in the field of tourism, hotel, and MICE industry, as well as the previous webinar. We will post the questionnaire in which you can vote or you can write us your suggestions of the topics you would like to hear next week. It is my incredible pleasure to present you today's panelists, so I would like to welcome Ksenija Lubarda, Resident Manager, Huma Hotel Bay; Bojan Milošević, General Manager, Hotel Moskva, Belgrade; Goran Corluka, Head of Business Trade Department, University Department of Professional Studies, University of Split, Croatia; Professor at Professional School of Business and Technology, University of Applied Science, Germany. Welcome. Global COVID-19 pandemic has moved rapidly from China to the Europe and the whole world. A newborn situation from the outset made its impact on the life we know and directly influenced the suspension of the industry in which we operate. What did the cancellation of ITB tourism fair in Berlin mean to you? And what was it the first sign that we would also face the problem soon? How do you handle this situation, and what were the first challenges you faced? Ksenija, would like to start?
Yes, of course I can. Thank you very much, Marina. Thank you for your question, and hi to everybody. Well, we just discussed a couple of minutes before we started this webinar, and this was the first topic we were quite laughing a lot about, as we all had a completely different perception of how this is going to look and how this is going to affect our business. And of course, in regards to ITB, we were all shocked. Nobody expected actually that in last minute such a big fair is going to be cancelled. However, it did happen. And it took us a bit more time to understand what kind of serious consequences this virus is going to have on our businesses. So yeah, we didn't expect that it's going to last that long. We didn't expect that it's going to last now already for 3 months, yeah? Am I correct? To be in complete lockdown. However, it did happen. And I really cannot say that we can, this is now not the situation when we can say what we do expect, what are predictions, and how we are going to act on the topic. I believe we as hoteliers are very flexible industry, and we've been through many crises as many other industries, but hospitality especially. We are quite fast in adapting to new challenges. But this one really caught us, yeah, unprepared. And let's see where it's going to lead us and how hospitality is going to look after all this mess that happened in the past couple of months.
Okay, Bojan, do you want to continue?
Certainly. Hello to everybody. Definitely after a great beginning of the year, I believe that all hoteliers were pretty much positive in a pretty quick solution of the pandemic, and actually we didn't believe that will spread around pretty quickly as it did. So cancellation, one of the events with the greatest, maybe the greatest impact on the industry, such as ITB in Berlin, was a definite sign and announcement that the tourism industry will face an extremely challenging time. And it happened pretty quickly after that in our region. So tourism completely stopped let's say, almost overnight. And problem is that also affected the confidence of our guests, of the travelers, in all segments, in business, leisure, MICE, and so on. So now it, as we heard, it lasts for several months, 2.5 in Serbia, and in the region even longer. And we all hope that will recovery come soon. So some of the challenges that we faced in the beginning definitely were cancellations. We had firstly cancellations for the March, and soon after that for the other months as well. And it was pretty difficult to handle this situation. As well, in the moment when we left out of the business, we faced another challenge, and that is the workforce. How to keep employees, and how to keep the team for the time that will come after the pandemic passed. So we made plenty of plans. Some of them we implemented already. Firstly, we had to handle the cancellations, and we started emphasizing rebooking rather than just canceling whenever it was possible. Also, we started connecting and communicating with the partners in order to solve those issues and challenges together. On the other side, we started working on our weaknesses, let's say in a hotel, on improving the condition of the property, where our engineering team did some great job. It was also we took advantage of the situation actually in one moment, and provided some rest for our employees with some accumulated overtime and days off. So we try to take some advantages of the situation as well, but however, situation is really dramatic, and we all hope that will end pretty soon.
Okay, Goran, what is your opinion?
Hi, first of all, kind regards to everyone. Thanks for joining the panel session. Yes, actually, as far as I know, the tourism history that did not record a situation as we are facing right now. Tourism industry had, of course, crisis phases. I would like to highlight two in the last history. That was the SARS pandemic in 2003 and the global economic crisis in 2009. But during the global economic crisis in 2009, international tourist arrivals dropped by 4%, and during SARS pandemic in 2003, international tourist arrivals dropped by only 0.4%. After the economic crisis in 2009, we actually faced 10 years in a row with permanent growth of international tourism. 2019, we recorded 1.5 billion international tourist arrivals. Tourism is generating 1 of 10 jobs worldwide. It's 10.4 of the global GDP, 7% of exports. Actually, everything was so positive about tourism. And now, like within a few days, we suffered under a total lockdown. And what is really unusual with this situation is that Ksenija mentioned it before, that normally when we have a crisis, it affects a certain region, like an outbound region or inbound region. Now at the same time, the whole world shut down. So regarding some predictions provided by the United Nations World Tourism Organization, somewhere in the middle of March, they predicted that international tourism is going to drop by 20 to 30% in 2020. Some latest research forecast even a drop of 50%. So it really looks like we're going to really suffer this year. The whole reflection on Croatia, I can't believe that I couldn't really believe that I would ever say these words, but thanks to the fact that Croatia is really one of the most seasonal destinations worldwide, it is the most seasonal destination in Europe, because just one indicator, provided by the Eurostat, is calculating every year the seasonality ratio, like the ratio between August as the best performing month and January as the lowest performing month. And average on European Union ratio is 3.5, which means that August has 3.5 times more overnights than January. The ratio in Croatia is 55. The second seasonal destination in European Union is Greece, having 18. So we are 55, Greece is 18 times more. So it's extreme. It's absolutely extreme. To reflect the whole story on the hotel sector, yes, it is also pretty much seasonal. I have some data from one of my analyzers. It happened a few years ago, but it's still, things didn't change that much since then. And actually, during the off season, like during the low season, from November till April, we have on the coastline, we have an average occupancy of hotel rooms of only 6%. In the mid-season, which is April, May, and October, we have an average occupancy of 34%. In the high season, which is from June till October, we have an average occupancy of 76%. So that actually means, what I've been trying to say is, if you reflect it, take 2019 as a reference year, if everything stops, if we get back to normal lives, but at the end of the May, the cumulative loss of the overnight stays in Croatia would be only 10%. And if everything stops by the end of June, the cumulative loss would be only 25%. So in Croatia, everybody still hopes that things might change in the next few weeks and that we can have our high season. That is actually what everybody is some kind predicting and in fact hoping for.
Yeah.
We in Montenegro share your positive attitude. We share the same hopes. Yeah, the situation here is very similar, the same. With us, actually, I was reading some reports and the risk where the countries are. I would say Montenegro is a bit in a worse situation because 28.8% of GDP in 2019 was covered by tourism industry. So this really hit us. However, we are hoping that if everything comes back to normal life, by end of May, we can recover a big part of it. The only risk that we are seeing now is actually we cannot predict what is coming. However, the airline companies are saying that they will not fly in capacity bigger than 40% compared to previous years. So automatically we will not have the occupancy which on the destination, we will not have the demand which we were looking forward to have this year, because we also predicted the increase in Montenegro compared to last year's. But still we are hoping that the region will look forward to come here. Yeah. In Croatia, you have a lot of choices. In Montenegro, there is a bit less, so we hope that this impact on our country will be a bit bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And as you mentioned, the period behind us as well as the period ahead is not easy. I believe that no one was ready for this situation. Have you made a recovery plan? And how much time do you think the hotel industry will need to recover and return to the point where COVID-19 stopped us and move on? What are the specific measures you will take, and who will be our first guest? Bojan, would you like to start?
Yeah, certainly.
You're opening first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're opening first pretty soon, and as a city destination, we are not that much seasonal as Croatia and Montenegro, so we'll have a certain negative impact on yearly results definitely. So we made a recovery plan that we're constantly adding and correcting as the situation changes. And for the moment, we are implementing part of the plan that regulates safety and security procedures. As in this time, the health is the main risk for our guests and the staff. Regarding the recovery, it will be very hard to estimate which point we will return to the situation before COVID from the beginning of the year. And there are many circumstances which are still unclear. We don't know if COVID-19 will return in autumn, We don't know when restrictions will be removed from the travels. But for sure, recovery will not happen till the next year. So all effort that we are putting now, we hope to minimize the damage in this year, and hopefully we'll have some better picture in 2021.
Okay, Ksenija.
Yeah, well, we don't have a plan. We don't have a plan, but we are planning all the time, and our plan is changing on daily basis. I don't believe that anybody could have really a plan at this point, because we cannot predict what's coming. We cannot predict what measures are going to be in place. In Belgrade, it is a little bit different situation. With Bojan, I know we discussed before this. We went online, so they already have some insight how the things should look after. When they start actually with the opening. With us here, it's still unknown in a way. We are waiting for these measures to be implemented. I think it's impossible to have a proper plan in place, because this is something, as Goran already mentioned, something that we never faced before, and we will have to be extremely flexible in order to attract more guests. I also saw one of the questions on the chat. Sorry, I'm multitasking, which is connected to this one, and it is from which countries and markets we are going to change clients from. I have no clue at this point, when everybody are closed, just local, and yeah, regional is not even an option. But we will have to be very vigilant and to see what's opening, who is opening first, what are the flights that are coming first, what are the markets that will be possible which will travel actually, which will have connections to our destinations. Without that, we can't really do a lot, yeah. But for sure, this is the situation when which whole planet is facing. And here in Montenegro, it is a bit more difficult, as I said, because the number of citizens is not that big as in Serbia or Croatia. So domestic tourism cannot really fully pump the local tourism industry. I believe Croatia has bigger chances in this area, Serbia as well. But in Montenegro, the statistic numbers are not that big. So we need international borders to be open. We need those markets to come and stay here. Yeah. Otherwise, let's see what's happening with this season. I mean, it's obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. And Goran, what is your prediction?
Actually, as I have my two colleagues, my two other colleagues are from the hotel sector and professionals. I would like also to give maybe a more broader point of view on hotel performance and action, because what we have to consider when we speak about hotel performance, and we already mentioned it in some way, is actually the fact that the hotel performance is depending on internal but as well as external determinants, like internal, what Bojan mentioned, like measures, organizations, strategies, procedures, personal responsibility to do something. But external environment is could be like everything, but I would like to highlight tourism and tourism demand, especially destination demand, because hotels as facilities within the destination pretty much depend on the destination performance. And because if a destination is attracting a number of people, hotels are absorbing a part of that overall destination demand. And that's why actually hotels and all other tourism facilities working within one destination need a well-organized, well-structured, competitive, and attractive destination. So I think it always goes because when we also think on the hierarchy of traveling, people choose first a destination, then facilities. So actually, the most important thing is that we actually take a more broader view from the facilities and look at the destination. Is it now a region or the whole country as a whole? Depends on the destination. But I think that will be the most important, how the destination prepares for the future. But also what we have to consider, like more related to hotels, what is a little bit expected, and Ksenija already mentioned it. Travel for sure is going to be more luxury or more value because it's going to be more expensive. As flight tickets and hotels, we mentioned before that there are some regulations for hotel, so maybe we won't be able to work under 100% capacity, even if we could. Also, airlines won't take full flights. They're going to take 30, 40 capacities. And of course, space is expensive, and it's going to be more expensive maybe traveling. Also, we could use this time now a little bit already. I think Bojan mentioned it, to a little bit rethink what was in the past, what we would have done wrong, especially on the destination level. Like, we have a lot of destinations suffering under over tourism, as for example in Croatia, Dubrovnik, or in Italy, Venice, or in Barcelona, in Spain, Barcelona. Think what we have done wrong, what could be done better in future. But actually, I've also joined the last few weeks some panel sessions where I was just a passive participant, and I heard a lot of experts speaking about the new normal, the new way of travel. I really do not want to go too dramatic. I think that most of us are looking to go back to the old normal as soon as possible and are not searching for something new. Yes, people are going to change their travel of perception of safety and traveling, but it already happened before the crisis, because we had already travel trends like conscious travel, travel to change, more authenticity, more experience, individualization, so travel in smaller groups to untouched places. So it's nothing new. And also, but I think that most people gonna just go back to their regular, and we will have still mass tourism, we will still have all-inclusive tourism and everything. And also, one of the indicators and like regulations and direction says hotels will have to turn to technology. But yes, it was also a trend. Like the last 2 years, automation, like chatbots,
Sure.
Robots, self-check-in, check-out, was already a part of the hotel industry. Now it might be adopted a little bit more or faster, but it's actually nothing new. So I wouldn't say that something new or big is expecting us. Maybe we should a little bit rethink and yes, not go too dramatic into the new area. Let's call it area.
Not Naomi Campbell scenario.
Yeah. I agree with you totally. Many predictions show that domestic tourism will return first, then regional, and followed by international as the latest. What is your advice for hotels in destinations visited mostly by foreign tourists? How should they modify their offer in order to attract a new market for them? Goran, would you like to start?
Actually, I think that Ksenija already named Croatia as a destination which might live on domestic tourism, but unfortunately that's not the case, because in Croatia...
Vouchers are not working, yeah? Those vouchers are not working, huh?
No, because in Croatia, actually, we have only 10% of our overall arrivals are created by domestic tourism, and we really can't rely on that. Some other countries, even which have strong domestic tourism, like Spain and similar, having like 40% of total arrivals having a domestic tourism as in their whole structure. But if we take a look at the importance of international tourism and international tourism revenues and the contribution to international tourism or national GDP, we really can't rely on any kind of domestic tourism. Everybody needs international tourism. Just one example, Greece, the share of GDP, tourism in GDP in Greece is 20.6, in Portugal 19, even in strong Austria 15.5%, in Spain 14.6%, in Italy 13%. So
Montenegro 28.8.
In 28.8 in Montenegro. So in Croatia it's also over 20. So we really depend on international travel. So domestic travel is not a solution. So what a solution is, we are looking forward to have on is the World Travel and Tourism Council set domestic tourism, then neighboring countries, then regional tourism, and then across the countries. But what we need, especially also they highlighted maybe first young population for travel, then the other ones. But what we really need is actually on European Union or in Europe level, we need we need regulations, we need standard protocols to say how to organize air travel, road travel, what kind of restrictions within destinations, how should hotels behave. So they should set standards, protocols for all destinations, because and also the idea of European Union was actually traveling, moving around, no borders, everything should be common. So that's what we look for, that we have strict procedures which are not applied only in one certain country like Serbia, Montenegro, Croatia, or Spain, like it should be applied to each destination so that people can move wherever they want, having the same protocols and same procedures. So everybody's looking for international travel. So domestic travel is not really an option.
Yeah, that is going to be a hassle, I believe. And I see the questions here in the chat, and I'm sorry, Marina, but I want to answer so many. Not now, I know. But I'm also seeing, Goran, I'm happy you mentioned this topic, because I'm seeing that, for example, international chains are starting. Actually, they are the most, as I said, as we as the hoteliers are very flexible. So you see that international hospitality chains, hotel chains start already implementing their own procedures. And I already saw some good examples like Hyatt, like Kempinski, Radisson, who already did the production even on branded masks and went a step further. And you already see this kind of nice touches in the room. You have a sanitizer and this kind of stuff you need for every day, but still we do not have it utilized like for all the hospitality industry, because we are not sure if we will be able to rent a room. I heard I read somewhere in the article that 72 hours prior guest arrival room should be empty. Yeah. So this really influences on our daily routines, on our procedures and the businesses. Of course, this will influence on the prices. And then we are going back to the question, who is going to pay it and who is going to come to the destination. So as I said, I believe we are now in a foggy area where we cannot really predict a lot. However, we need to implement those steps one by one and be as flexible as we can to attract which markets are the markets which are opening actually first, and nobody knows who's that gonna be. Yeah? We are all going to fight for that market, I'm sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
As you mentioned that many predictions show that domestic and regional tourism will return prior international. What is pretty much reasonable if you take into consideration that surrounding circumstances that Ksenija and Goran already mentioned earlier. However, we all rely on international travelers, and now in order to make offer for foreigners, we cannot apply the formula, unfortunately. So we have to do to customize the offers, to make tailor-made offers to the markets, and therefore we should do many analyses. We should do it in regular situation now, even more. We should analyze the market segments, and its segments, how they behave, what are their needs, expectations, behaviors, and so on. And then once we know how they act, what they expect, and when we are aware of legislation as well, for example, we have a willingness of foreigners to travel, but if we have governments that are forbidding travel to custom regulations, our offer will not have a sense. So once we know all this, have all this information, it will be much easier to make the offer. And in this situation, Goran mentioned earlier, we should focus primarily on maybe more on the quality rather than on quantity. And in this situation, when we have people health at risk, maybe we should emphasize those safety and security protocols, just in order to build confidence of the travelers, to take the travels, and to increase these travel activities.
Yeah.
I would like to add a little bit of positive approach to the whole story, yeah, because we have certain hopes, and I'm glad that Bojan mentioned segmentation and analysis. That's my favorite. I really do believe that the leisure segment is going to be more vivid, let's say, in these first days to come after opening the borders, because individually we will travel one by one. We will make easier. It will be much easier for us individually to make the decision to travel or not. Yeah. However, I'm not that optimistic when it's coming when we are talking about the MICE industry, because I believe that the big companies, it will take more time for them to get into the risk to organize something which is potentially dangerous, for their employees. So I believe that this industry is going to recover slower than the leisure. So in that case, Goran and myself a bit more luckier these days, because we are living at a seaside and actually hoping that if we open borders soon, that we can pull something out of the season, especially July and August, which are the main season for us. And let's hope for a little bit of extended season, and it will be just enough time for people to come back to the normal life, and then let's see if they continue with the MICE segment. But as I read in some articles as well, they are mentioning that the MICE segment will start slowly recovering if this stops now, as of March next year. Yeah.
March next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are some researches. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and how do you comment maintaining media communication as well as social media advertising during the pandemic? How important for hotels is to maintain a public relations and to be active at social media networks in the time when they cannot offer a specific product? What do you think, Bojan?
Is it for me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is for all panelists, but if you
all
want
right.
to start.
Okay, thank you. So in this situation, all information are pretty much useful and let's say necessary. So in a moment when we have a lot of people with some additional free time that can probably they will spend on social media among the other channels, definitely will be useful to make a connection and establish some solid relationship with the customers. And it is crucial to communicate to the markets what we're doing and how we are handling the current situation. And I believe that hotels that build guest confidence and ensures that guest expectation will be met will be those hotels that will stay in the business. And let's not forget that in this situation, expectations are also changed. So I believe that it is very important, even without specific product, to maintain public relations with the purpose of building brand image, awareness, and trust.
Okay. What do you think, Ksenija?
I think it's a must.
It's a must.
It's a must. It's not a moment to stop those kind of actions. I fully agree with Bojan. I think we have to be active on every field, especially in that marketing and PR. This is the only thing that we have left now. So this is the only way we communicate with our clients now. And these days, when everybody is scrolling and going through social media, I think we are the ones who can give them a little bit of hint what is going to be after all of this is done, especially after the seaside. We have the best view. So I think it is necessary to be live, to be there. Of course, the strategy needs to be implemented. The strategy that needs to be implemented is a little bit different and more adapted to the situation. As Bojan said, we are not really promoting certain products because at this moment they don't really have sense. However, we always can share some nice information from the properties where we are and the destinations where we are, because life will continue. This will not end now, yeah, and we will get back to normal at some point. So those who are sleeping in these moments, I believe they are going to suffer from consequences later on. We are not in the situation when we can let ourselves to fall asleep, to be in the long winter sleep and do nothing. So now is the moment when we really have to keep things going in order for business to recover as faster as possible. And social media is just a tiny little piece of the puzzle, yeah. So and I think quite important one. So we have to be there.
Definitely. Goran? What do you think?
Of course, I agree with my colleagues, and of course, any kind of marketing activity is necessary. I heard from some companies that they stopped marketing activities during the crisis, but I think it's totally wrong. I think what we should do, Ksenija mentioned it, a great example are international hotel chains. They are promoting their prevention strategy like cleanliness, safety, like in-house promotion, but also public promotion like in-house. We should train our employees maybe for what's coming after if we start work again, and when we start work again, that they have regular hand washing, keep appropriate social distance.
And this hand washing, sorry, I have to laugh.
Yes, I know,
there was a little poster. We washed hands even before. You know?
Yes, I agree. I absolutely agree with you. But okay, it looks like we have to mention it nowadays. And of course, also what is pretty good, and what some international hotel chains are doing, like to introduce like some kind of certificate stamp, like clean and safety or clean and commitment certificate stamp on a hotel level or maybe on a destination level. Anyway, just to promote that you're doing something, that you're adopting change, that you're ready for the first guests to come. Also, what I would like to highlight is that also research findings indicate that facilities, hotels, which kept doing digital marketing during a crisis period, ended up after the crisis with a higher revenue per available room. Also, we should use now this period for maybe rethink our marketing activities, marketing message we're sending, maybe rethink. I just before I started this panel session, I looked at the Huma Resort, and I really loved the pictures, and I really
thank you
already being there. So we should really think what is our unique selling point. Try to find something which makes us special, makes us stand out, and promote that. So like a little bit to rethink what we have done so far. Also think on the market distribution channels. Try to be as visible as possible. Also, we'll try to work on our homepage, webpage to get as more as possible direct booking, especially nowadays. So, and also one suggestion beside marketing, what I would suggest to everybody, and I think it's also a very common topic about the rates. So please keep your regular rates. So keep regular rates.
Keep them up.
Yeah, because also research findings indicate that hotels kept their rates higher or the same rates as they were before the crisis, had an average daily room rate higher than the other ones generally, and higher rates and lower occupancy is equal higher revenue per available room. So keep your rates. Also rethink when you finally get your guests at your hotel. Rethink how to do upselling and cross-selling, maybe sell a better room, bigger room, better view, more expensive, or make them use all possible services. So try to optimize the revenue when you finally get your guests at your property. Yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, Goran, we are fully on the same page. I have to say this is exactly what we are doing right now, and I'm happy that you mentioned all of it. So it really is, and I'm following market very closely, especially because I'm in Montenegro for 3 months. I came from Belgrade, so I was even more curious to see how the destination is working and how the destination is going to behave. Yeah, so the OTA insight helped a lot. And I'm really very pleasantly surprised with Montenegrin hoteliers because everybody kept the rates up, and everybody are keeping the level of the rates. I have to say I was a little bit scared that there is going to come to the panic effect when everybody are going to drop their rates and yeah, we are eating the same piece of cake. However, it still didn't happen, and I hope this is going to continue in the same manner. Yeah, I agree fully with you.
I could agree more with both of you regarding the rates. Definitely, we should keep or raise the rates and focus on additional value, what Goran mentioned earlier. So I hope that the entire industry in the region will be on the same page, so we can make some benefit of it.
So we all have the same view of this topic. Okay, I have one more question, but after that I saw a lot of questions from our audience. So since you are in significant positions in tourism industry, how would you motivate all of us who are already working in tourism or will become employed in industry soon? What is your message? Goran, would you like to start?
Yes, actually, because as I'm working at the university in Croatia and in Germany, I have the contact with those ones who will work tomorrow in the tourism industry. So I'm going to
Who need to be motivated.
Yeah, I'm reaching out to them. And actually, what I always say is you really have to be enthusiastic. I think Bojan and Ksenija know it perfect. You have to really be enthusiastic. I could name you a lot of reasons not to work in the tourism industry, but also to me meaningless because I really love working in the tourism industry. And what you have to be aware that it is a service sector, and yes, we are serving people, but in this case, serving somebody should be seen in the best possible way, because we as a part of the tourism sector, we create memories. So we create unforgettable memories. People will remember and tell for their lifetime, and we are a part of those memories. So actually that is for me priceless. So yes, tourism industry is pretty dynamic. It's pretty creative. It has a lot of career opportunities, a lot of entrepreneurship opportunities. So just go for it. That's my thought.
It's all about the experience, I would say. You know, we are creating experiences. Yeah, as you said, memories. I think experience is a bit wider, and we are lucky enough to influence many people's lives. Yeah, because we go through them through many different phases of their lives as they travel for business, leisure, whatever. And we are lucky enough to meet so many different and passionate people around the globe who are traveling. And this really enriches us. This really changes our perspective. At least it changed my perspective on life. It changed my perspective on how I treat people, how I treat my daily routines, and etc. I learned a lot. And this is industry I would never ever consider going out from. Once you are in, you are done. You are toasted. There is no way back. So. Yeah, you really need to be motivated and enthusiastic to jump into hospitality and the tourism. But when you are there, it becomes part of your lifestyle. Even your families. You should see my daughter. She's 7.5, and she thinks the hotel is the coolest thing in the world. So I did the job.
You have some time with motivation, right?
Well, you know what my dad said to me, Bojan? He said, you are going to hospitality when I was 22, and when I said I want to go to hospitality, yeah? And he was like, are you normal? What's wrong with you? You know, it's kind of, you go and try, and then you see. And then I knocked at the door of the Hyatt Regency Belgrade, and I stayed there for almost 10 years. So it worked out for me.
That's great. It's my turn, right?
Yeah.
I spent over 20 years in tourism, and I could really talk a lot about this subject. But definitely, tourism is the industry of the opportunities and adventures, and offers a very dynamic workplace with all those pluses and minuses, which we are very much aware of. However, possibilities for personal development are really endless, with such a variety of the roles and the companies where people could find the placement. If you take also into consideration that statistics shows us that on every 10 employees, 1 is employed in the tourism industry, and that industry is growing constantly, then we can see that there are really great opportunities for career development and for all those who are committed and passionate. They should have this strive and enthusiasm, what Goran mentioned. Without that, it will be not that much productive, let's say, to be polite. So therefore, for all young professionals, message is to supply themselves with the knowledge, with the skills, and or maybe most important, with the willingness to make the impact. And then tourism will award all those professionals with amazing experiences and lifetime memories. as in the same way that we are creating for our guests, it will come back to us. So go for it.
Great.
We will bounce back after COVID, yeah?
Great messages. Thank you for that. I saw a lot of really interesting questions from our audience. In accordance with the time that we have at our disposal, we will try to give the most answers we can. I saw also a lot of greetings, and here is one question from our panelists from last webinar, from Rob Davidson. A question for everyone. What assistance and support, if any, are you getting from your governments?
I'm not sure if I should answer you on this one. We here are really not, let's say, super happy what is happening here. The government here is a little bit slower with the actions for the tourism, especially when it comes to the part of that it takes in the GDP. So now they started with some subventions and etc., and hope this is going to continue and this is going to develop. Yeah. But let's say it's kind of a slower territory compared to especially Croatia compared to Slovenia. Slovenia had a very good reaction, very fast on Croatia as well. However, we are a bit slower than our neighboring countries, I would say.
So here in Serbia, we have this package of the measures as support to the entire industry, and it's applied to entire industry, not particularly to the tourism, except those vouchers which are increased in a number for the domestic travelers. So we are expecting some benefits in the destinations such as the mountains, hotels, and the accommodations in the mountains, spas, and so on. Maybe less in a city objects, hotels, motels, and so on. So we are not. Let's say we are expecting additional measures which will be customized for the tourism itself, as it is one of the most heated branches of the industry.
But we are still waiting, yeah.
And hoping.
We are always the ones who are waiting, Serbia and Montenegro, yeah. Yeah. Croatia, what about you?
I really wish I could say something pretty positive, but I'm not sure. I was now thinking how to make it positive.
I have the same challenge, yeah, I know.
Okay, on the very start, yes, we, of course, the hospitality and the tourism industry, as well as other industries, got financial support and some kind of measures to overcome the first financial impact as the crisis, of course. At the moment now, regarding the phase of going out of the crisis and starting regular business, I'm missing some real measures. At the moment, it's still some kind of suggestion about restrictions, how to behave in future, but nothing really strict. What I'm really missing, because I feel like in Croatia, we still always look to a little bit to our right, to the west, what are the neighbors doing, especially Austria, and then maybe we copy that. But I would really like that we are a bit more proactive, that we see as a destination, that we really, Corona didn't affect that much Croatia. We are on the very end of the list regarding the effect of Corona on the public health. So actually, I feel like we should really promote a little bit more ourselves as a really healthy, safe destination. We are a destination comparing to France, Spain, Italy, which are also, let's say, auto destinations for the middle and the west and north European countries, closed destination. Let's say at the moment the safest regarding Corona and the most prepared regarding Corona, and the less affected regarding Corona. So I think that should be something we should advertise a little bit more, promote, and stand out a little bit more and do a little bit more on our own, not wait something to happen somewhere around. We should make them open their borders and invite people to come to Croatia. So I would love if we would be a little bit more proactive.
I agree with you, Goran, but I mean, when we are talking about the measure, there are so many things to be done, yeah, and there is so many things that the government can do, but also it depends on the budgets and the money that the government has, yeah. So it is not an easy task for them as well. However, there is a lot of actions to be done, which is not done yet. But in regards to marketing, I think even Montenegro is in a better position because we are the last one who actually closed, and we had the smallest number of cases. We even don't have any case in a couple of days. There is not a new case coming here. So those measures that the government did here were very good, and they were done on time. I mean, compared to Serbia, they closed borders later. They reacted a bit slower. Of course, it's a bigger country and it's a bit more difficult. However, here really people reacted positively on all the measures, and the measures started. And I saw some statistics and analytics that actually Montenegro is the only country in Europe which closed the coffee shops, restaurants, and all these public transports even before the first case of COVID. So it really helped us to save the image. I mean, Croatia as well. But here, this is one of the best examples, I would say, in Europe. And being Montenegrin, I have to say, and Serbian, I have to say I'm super proud and super surprised. So it's not something definitely that I expected, that kind of reaction, and that people will follow the rules. So there is hope for our region. There is really, let's hope that this is going to end up very positive for all of us and very soon.
Yeah. Here is one really interesting question for Goran. Given the seasonality analysis is a significant area of your scientific and professional knowledge, how is it possible to create a year-round destination offering?
Okay, so this is like a really complex question. I could speak now for hours. I'm sure you don't want to listen for hours to me. So in fact, I'm not really sure if it's possible to develop a destination which is not a whole year destination to become a whole year destination. It's really difficult, but few information. Like we have normally destinations are seasonally affected, having the peak in the high season. A great example how to introduce an additional season, that's like something a lot of destinations can do. A great example is Austria, like a close example. Austria is perceived as a winter destination, ski destination, and in the mountain area where skiing is popular, those areas have even more tourists and overnight stays in the summer months. So actually, Austria has two peaks, like the winter peak and the summer peak. So actually, this is like one example where how you can introduce an additional product, an additional season, additional type of tourism. Generally, the problem, like also the case of Croatia, when we speak about seasonality and when we are pretty much seasonally affected, is that we always judge the tourists like they are seasonal because of institutional factors like school, work, holidays, or they just look for the good climate and the high season. But in a lot of cases, it's also destination factors like accessibility. For example, airline connection. Also, I think Ksenija can agree in Montenegro.
Yes.
If there are no flights, there are no guests. For example, there are great hotel.
Not only even connections. It's not possible to land on our airport in Tivat. So it's kind of it's more about infrastructure. I fully agree with you, Goran, because it's not that simple question. It looks naive, but it's very complex, and it depends as well from destination to destination. And I agree with you that.
Yeah, you always have to think, not just because a lot of destinations, also like our government and our ministry, they develop products, like developing products, but you have always to think about aspects like accessibility. Can people reach a destination at part of time? Hotel structure, are the hotels open? Are they prepared to work in winter months? Do they have facilities, etc.? It's a huge topic. Maybe Marina, maybe for one of our next panel session. Yes.
We will make one panel for that topic, so we will invite you again and we will talk more about it. Here is a lot of really interesting questions, and one for Bojan. Since taking the position of General Manager of Hotel Moskva, you achieved great results that brought back the old glory of the hotel. Therefore, could you explain how you managed to do it? That can also be a long answer, but try to make it shorter.
I'll try to keep it pretty short. Thank you very much for the recognition for the results which we made in the past year and a half, how long I'm with Moscow. The main reason is that we changed the approach to the work, to the job. So we implemented certain stages that we are focused on. We changed approach to the organization, approach to the job that we are signed for, approach to the colleagues, and most important, we changed approach to the guests. With a huge respect for all those areas, we helped each other to develop our skills and to improve the knowledge in order to give our best to our end consumer, to our guests. So we are trying to develop professionals and to help them to show their full potential.
Thank you, Bojan. Do you want to add something?
No, I hope I answered the main topic.
We just posted the questionnaire in which you can vote for the topic you would like to hear next week. And there one more question for Ksenija. We have enough time for that. You have significantly influenced the branding of the Radisson Collection all-meal hotel in Belgrade, and now you are the resident manager of the luxury Huma Hotel in Kotor. How did you decide to change your destination and take responsibility for opening a brand new hotel?
First of all, Luca, thank you for the question. And thank you for the compliment. This is the Radisson Collection Hotel is one of the projects that I'm most proud of. And I really see it as my baby, because my baby was only 1 year old when I started working there, and I was the first employee. So this is not the first time for me to do the opening, to do rebranding. I did there the opening. After a couple of years, I did full rebranding of the hotel. And I really believe that we made a different product in the market. However, it's after 6 years there, I think it was about time for some new challenges. And this project here was super interesting to me, because this is a luxury property, five-star hotel, privately owned. And as I worked all my career in chains, I decided to change a little bit and to see how the different markets are working. Because for us hoteliers, it is extremely important to have a different perspective, to change the market, and to see what is happening from another angle. Yeah, because running hotel here in Montenegro is completely different than running hotel in Belgrade. To take the position of the resident manager, I have to say I'm a really hotel person, so I enjoy working in the hotel. I like the operations part, not only the sales and marketing part, which I enjoy very much, but I'm pure hospitality person, hotel person. So it gave me completely different view on the hospitality industry. I'm very sorry, as I shared with my colleagues Goran and Bojan, that I was not able in these first 3 months that I'm here to see this full vivid picture of the seaside hotel, but hopefully it will happen soon. And if you have any additional questions, just send me direct messages. I'm more than welcome to answer them.
Thank you so much. We are out of time, so I would like to ask you if you would like to add something. Okay.
It's always me talking. Anybody else?
Would just like to thank for the opportunity to be a part of this panel session. Would like to thank to all the participants for the great questions, and yes, it was a pleasure being part of it.
Yeah, I'm happy that I met Goran. Bojan, we know each other from Belgrade, so it's lovely seeing you. Marina, lovely seeing you. Greetings to all participants, and I hope to see you all in Montenegro. We are waiting for you. Region is region is the new market. Yeah. So hopefully next panel we are going to have live, no matter where. Yeah, Croatia, Serbia, or Montenegro. But I hope we're gonna catch up and have some fun, not only Zooming.
I can't agree more. I hope that we will be together soon, in person. Okay. So if you don't have to add something more, I would like to thank you because you were here today. It was my incredible honor. Thank you for your professional view, opinions, and predictions that you shared with us. And I think that we now have a clearer picture of what we can expect in the upcoming period. Dear participants, thank you because you were here today. I hope that we provide you with some new information, and I would like to ask you to continue the MEKST conference page at social media networks and to find some more information about some of next webinars and to send us your suggestions of the topics you would like to be covered. Thank you again. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.